1051.
Haven't seen him in almost a year.
Yeah, I see him later. No le needs to stay with the babies, porque van a estar muertos.
You know I'm right here.
It's Gordo. They get in the bed with him, he roll over. They die.
Gordo means handsome, right?
No.
You know what? Just go home. You enjoy your time with your husband, okay? And thank him for his service.
Bueno, que Dios ponga su mano. En nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu.
It's Power 1051, home of the Breakfast Club. Angie Martinez, and I'm hip-hop and R&B. It's your main man, EmEz. It is the Sunday sit-down. And across from me this evening is Vanessa Aspillaga.
Aspillaga.
I have no memory. The worst.
That's okay. Won't hold it against
Oh, thank you. Please don't. Please don't. How have you been? How's everything?
Everything's really good.
Thank you for coming by.
I almost died coming over here.
How? Explain.
Because I was in the midst of a lot of snow. You know where that bus stop is?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that little area, because my cab driver sort of went opposite on 6.
Gotcha.
And so I had to walk, and then I had to walk the other direction. And then there was this, like, tundra of snow. And then
I like that word, tundra.
But I felt like there would be something kind of solid, and instead,
Whoosh.
as I got further along, closer to the bus stop, I was literally knee deep in snow, and I thought, what am I gonna do? Where am I? What's happening? Anyway, but I made it in one piece.
Thank you for making it. I appreciate
Blizzard
that.
2016.
Are they calling it a blizzard officially or a winter storm?
Dude.
Because I
Blizzard.
remember they said Winter Storm
Have
Jonas.
you not been hashtagging Blizzard 2016?
I'm not a great hashtagger.
Okay, I'm easy.
You're right. I gotta get on it. Okay, so at least I've read the bio and everything else like that. The one thing that really, really sticks out to me
Yes.
is the Dora Explorer witch thing.
Yes.
How fun was that?
It was a lot of fun.
Explain. Amazing.
But you know what they would tell me?
They
would tell me, okay, not that scary. Don't do it.
Because they're young kids.
Yeah.
My
So I
9-month-old
was
watches Dora.
Yeah.
And
so-
Diego, actually, not Dora. Stop it.
Yeah. So I was the evil witch, and I had her, the Snow Queen. What the heck is it called? I forget now. It was a few years ago, but it was awesome, and I had a lot of fun. I love doing that stuff because I do everything. So I do film, TV, and stage, and I've done a lot of stage.
What's your favorite thing to do?
I love all of it. I mean, I will say a big dream of mine was to do Broadway, and I did Broadway.
Okay.
I did, a Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Anna in the Tropics, by Nilo Cruz, and it was the first time a Latino playwright had won the Pulitzer.
Congratulations.
And I did that with Jimmy Smits, who is dreamy.
Okay.
And I loved him, and it was a lot of fun, man. I had a lot of fun doing that, and that was some years ago. But that was a big experience because it is just special. It's just special to be on Broadway. It feels special.
Okay, for someone that isn't of the whole Broadway scene and the off-Broadway stuff, why is that so special? Why is Broadway the mecca of that?
Well, I mean, I think that, I grew up, and this is the thing. It's like, so I'll get into, because I've seen actually some of your interviews, actually. I saw one of the interviews. I'm blanking, but anyway, on her name. But being a Latina actress, yes, there's especially when I started out, because I've actually been doing this now professionally for 25 years, if you can believe it or not, and I'll put my witch voice for that, because I'm older than dirt. Anyway, no, listen, your viewers are going to be like, what the hell is this? This is crazy. Anyway, no, but the thing is that when I started out, it was even worse in the sense that you had these sort of stock characters. You're going up for, and I was never interested in that. Like, I wanted to be, my reference point was Meryl Streep. So I wanted to be like that. I wanted to transform. And I knew that I was capable of that. There's some actors that, there's a couple of things that they do. That's their, that's their range. And I knew that I just had, I enjoy accents. I enjoy languages. I did a play at Lincoln Center where I spoke Urdu.
What is that?
It is a language in India.
Wow.
Yes. And they speak it in several places, but And I worked, I had a scene where I spoke in that language, and I worked so hard on that. Menos salkiti. I mean, I can say there's this whole thing. It's unlike anything else. And I'm a language geek. And so I'm fluent in Spanish because my mother's
How many
Cuban.
languages are you fluent in?
I'm fluent in Spanish. I speak some Portuguese.
Okay.
I can understand and speak some Portuguese, which is very different. People think that because it's in South America, it's different. And I can speak some Italian and not a lot of French, just a few little things. But so I enjoy it, and I have a good ear for languages. So getting back to the whole Meryl Streep Broadway thing. So for me, as a Latina actress, to get to do Broadway, to get to do Lincoln Center, which is also like Fort Knox, you know what I mean? And, to play Lincoln Center twice, was a great thrill. And to do Shakespeare in the Park, which I did As You Like It in the Park, which is, in the Delacorte Theater, part of the New York Shakespeare Festival, the public theater, right? So I did As You Like It in the Park. And for me, those were, as a serious actress, because that was my bent. I wanted not to necessarily be some kind of personality, or I'm going to have a brand, which is then what screws you over. In a way, the business people want you to come in and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to market this person,
They want you already prepackaged.
In a certain way. And I think that my passion was not for that. My passion was for the craft of acting.
Yeah.
So literally. So I like to learn a language or learn a dialect, learn an accent. I like to change. I like to transform in as many ways as I can. So for me, that's exciting, and so it's a little more limiting, I think, in film and TV because there's so much more of a focus on the visual. But even given that, I've done a variety of roles where I've gotten to play characters who are quite different from me. So that's, to me, is exciting. So doing Broadway, doing Lincoln Center, doing, Shakespeare in the Park, it's such as a legitimate actor, it's such a legitimizing kind of feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, I am here.
You made it.
I am a real actor. I'm a craftswoman,
Got you.
if you will, And then it's fun to do the shows. Like I was on the Jim Gaffigan show, man, and I had a great time doing that, And Flesh and Bone, which was on Stars, which is very different from the Jim Gaffigan show. It's quite adult and lots of sex and lots of cray-cray. So
let's go there. What, give me one of your most awkward moments on set.
On set?
Or what was the sex scene? Like, have you been in a sex scene?
Okay, not on Flesh and Bone. I was not in the sex scenes of Flesh and Bone. Flesh and Bone is about a ballet company, and so the dancers get into a lot of shenanigans. I play the assistant company manager named Monica, and actually you can stream that on Stars. It was nominated for Golden Globes and Critics' Choice. It's been nominated for several awards. Jim Gaffigan show, I play Blanca, who was very different from Monica. She was the nanny. So I didn't do any, and that was a Family Man show, Jim Gaffigan, his comedy.
Absolutely.
So, but I have done some risque things on stage.
Explain. Please partake.
Okay. So
Share.
I've been like a stripper, basically, in a stage play. I've also been, the craziest thing, the craziest thing I've ever done as an actress. Okay. So a director that I had worked with, he was doing a play. The lead actress got sick. She's older than me, Anglo. The part is for like an Anglo, Massachusetts, completely not
You.
me.
Gotcha.
The woman was sick. He called me on Sunday, 12 o'clock. Could you do this? Could you go on book? He wanted me to go on book in this play, like that I had never seen, had never read, with an audience.
Dry read.
To do it. And
live.
So, yeah, man.
Wow.
And there were people from like nominating committees, awards, because it was their last show and he didn't want to cancel it. And then when I said, okay, I have to take my dog out, and then I'm going to think about it because I'm literally not in the head for this. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. So I got there. The show was at 3:00 matinee. So he gives me the blocking. I hadn't even read the play. So in the blocking, I sort of go through the stuff. And then there's a scene where the woman gets completely naked.
On stage.
Correct. Completely. And I said,
did you get time to go get waxed?
No, man. But also the character isn't about that.
Okay, I'm just asking.
But listen.
I was wondering.
Okay, so EmEz, take it easy.
Go ahead,
Cógelo con take it easy porque, come on now. Okay, let's get crazy now with the waxing. But anyway, so there I am, and I'm running through it before we have the audience. And I say, and he says, you don't really have to do this, but, And I said, okay, listen, I can't do this right now, but I will see when the audience is here. I will see how I feel. I will feel it in the moment. Dude, I can't. I got all
naked
with a script in my hand, which is like sort of the saddest part because you're there. I'm literally, just on book. You understand? Yeah. I have never done the play. I've never rehearsed it. He just asked me to, to pinch it. You know what I mean? It's like, anyway. So that was
naked. That's crazy,
dude. And then you put your script down, and I'm gonna take this. Yeah, man. It was crazy. It's crazy. So that was the craziest thing. And it was intense.
Wow.
Have I scored points with you?
Absolutely. I mean, to step in as a pinch hitter and still do it bucket naked, that's a trooper right there.
Yeah. I mean, I take chances on stage. In life, I'm a little bit, but on stage, I go for it. I like going for it, and I like taking a lot of risks. And that's the only way that you can be, that you can be really amazing. The chance for doing great work, you have to be willing to fall flat on your face and make a complete fool out of yourself in order to achieve some kind of
absolutely
anything.
Is there a role out there that you didn't get that you knew you would have killed off the top of your head?
My philosophy, and I was actually talking to your previous guest, Nidra, about that in the bathroom, as where all great conversations happen between women. And I said, I don't. I think that whatever's meant to be will be. Whatever comes my way, I am meant to do. And I've been doing this now. I came to New York at 17 from Miami. And I've been doing this for a long time now. And, over 20 years I've been doing it.
What made you get into acting?
I always wanted to do it. I mean, I remember literally being 5 years old. And I know you're gonna relate to this because I know you used to do interviews when you were a little kid.
All the
you
time.
used to interview your
friends,
classmates
absolutely.
and friends.
She's done her homework.
So I know. And so I wanted
Miss Vanessa, I tip the hat to you. Hey.
But I remember literally being in the lunchroom, and I think I was like 5, and I remember one of the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an actress. And they said, that's not a real job. And I was like, no, but I knew that that's what I wanted to be. And so I never really veered from that. I think I made up other things to soothe people's curiosities who didn't believe that I could be an actress, but I always knew I wanted to be.
How'd your parents take that? Were they supportive, or were they telling you, listen?
I was raised by my grandmother and my great-grandmother, and my grandmother had been an actress in Cuba. So
really?
she was wonderful, she dancer and an amazing, she's a singer and dancer and actress. And, and then she came in January of 1962, after the revolution, on the last KLM Dutch airline flight out of Havana. And so, at that point, obviously she needs to survive, and in Miami at that time, it was not the way it is now. It was the South. I mean, it was basically, very, Jewish or Southern people. And you couldn't get by speaking Spanish, and she had to survive. And so, but she was such a huge supporter. I mean, I cannot tell you, that woman would drive me like an hour away to take a singing class, a private class. She was amazing. She would, before I knew, when I was on Broadway, I knew what a dresser was. You have a dresser, somebody who makes sure that your clothes are right. And I mean, you do that. You don't get that like when you're off Broadway, you know, or off Broadway. But when you're on Broadway, you have someone making sure, you know, your wig is on, or if your hair, you know, you have a hair person and you have the costumes and what have you. And I remember doing a play in community theater when I was in high school. And my grandmother would it was there every show in the dressing room, getting me like as if my dresser, you know. And
Kept it in the family, huh?
so she was very supportive. I mean, she was incredibly supportive and always told me I could do anything that I wanted. So I relied a lot upon her, you know, in terms of, you know, all of that stuff. And so, you know, so then when she passed away, it was very, very hard. But because I used to, even in my adulthood and like living here, I would call her like 5 times a day, be like, what do you think about this? Or what's your, you know, she lived in Miami. And so anyway, but yeah.
What's the biggest difference between living in Miami and living in New York as a Cuban?
God.
Cuban American, sorry.
Well, I'll tell you, and this kind of relates to the acting in a certain way too, because, and one of your guests had talked about this, touched upon this. When I first moved here, and I moved, I'll date myself, I don't care, August of 1990, okay? And so I was 17, and when I started out, like I said, it was either the Nuyorican or like the Chicana, you know, or the immigrant, like accented immigrant bombshell. You got into that in one of your interviews. So I literally remember, because I'm good with accents or dialects, and I, depending on who I'm talking to, I sometimes start like talking like them because I just end up, not on purpose, it just happens. So I remember literally getting VHS tapes and like to learn, okay, I'm going to get this Nuyorican movie. I'm going to get this, you know, Allison Anders, or like Mi Vida Loca, you know, to do a Chicana, you know, or I'm going to get this Italian American, because actually my first job as an actress was Anthony Minghella, who passed away, who directed The English Patient, who won the Oscar for The English Patient. His first American film was a film called Mr. Wonderful with Matt Dillon, Annabella Sciorra, and Mary Louise Parker. And I had a small role in that, but they were having trouble casting it. And I had gone with my uncle, this is before, yes, the internet, when you went to pick up sides, which is your audition materials, right?
Okay.
So you weren't getting emails. So I, you know, his agent said, oh, I want to submit you. She just submitted me for this film. I went for the casting directors. Then they had me come in for Anthony. And the role was supposed to be a girl who was maybe Italian. Was probably Italian. The whole joke was, don't marry an Italian girl, Matt Dillon would tell his friend, David Barry Gray, who played my boyfriend. And he kept talking about me. I said, no, you know, but he thought I was Italian, and I copped to it in the interview. I said, no, I'm not Italian. I'm, you know, but at the time I listened, I literally VHS tapes and
Mimicked everything you saw.
Yeah, it was like I wanted to, you know, to try to get everything down, so that I could do anything that was asked of me.
Gotcha.
So
Sunday sit down. I got Miss Vanessa. Last name one more time.
Aspillaga.
All right. Can we talk about the Falling Waters project?
Yeah, I mean, that is I don't know if it's on. It's a very mysterious show, and I play a very mysterious role. I don't know how much I can say about it.
What's it about?
It's about dreams, and it's about the mind. It's almost like, you remember that that movie, the one that goes into the dreams where people are
Inception?
Yes.
Okay.
It has some of that quality to it, and but so I don't right now, like I don't even know. Like I did a part in that. It's like very mysterious. So I don't know what's going on with that. But you can watch me on the Jim Gaffigan show. You can watch that on you can get that on iTunes, you can get Comedy Central and TV Land. And you can watch me on Flesh and Bone, which is on Stars. And then you can look out for Falling Waters because it is going to be pretty out there. I mean, although I'm basically delivering a baby. So that's the other funny thing about, you talked about those awkward things as being an actress. Like, what other profession? Like, well, now I, who have never been to med school, I'm going to pretend to deliver a baby. You know, I am going to hold this gelatinous, no, because it was honestly,
It wasn't a real baby, though.
no, but it looked kind of like a rubbery ET-ish kind of.
Wow. Wow.
Did you get that?
Wow.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Got
Like,
you.
it was kind of like
It
this.
was real enough.
Dude, yeah, and it had all this gelatinous, like, jelly.
Okay, so now.
Is that too much?
No.
Is that too crass?
No.
For you?
Not at all.
Easy?
There's no.
What?
There's never no too crass. I just now I see my mind starts to think because it's a movie and we're acting. It's not really physically coming out of a vagina. What did it come out of with all that gelatinous stuff? Did you just stick your hand in a bowl and pull a baby out? Like how does that look? See, I'm bringing you behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
I will tell you, the woman wasn't stirrups, the actress. And, you know, there's a covering and my hands are like there underneath the covering, very close to the vagina. Yes, I said it. Very close to the vagina where all babies and life come.
It's amazing.
What can I tell you? Listen, I'm a professional. Don't try it. Don't try this at home, kids. Or have fun and do. I don't know.
Man,
Pretend.
it's been a pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. I've learned
some
that,
things.
Yes. No. The one thing I mainly learned is they do keep touching the vagina area to give birth. I thought maybe there was just a bucket under the woman that you just pull the baby out because it would make it look a certain way.
No, man. There's all kinds of things. Like you should get actors in here who are also doing like sexy scenes because there's some craziness.
Would you like to speak on that?
Well, I have not done them, but you know how they sometimes will, you know, they'll wear like a sock on the penis. Do you know?
I mean, when I wear socks on my penis, it's just different reasons.
Have you ever?
What I mean,
do you know what I'm talking
but I got
about?
you. I understand.
And then what's it called for the merkin for the woman that put a thing. It's called I think it's called.
What's
the
that?
merkin.
What do you mean they put a thing?
Dude, Google it. It's the merkin, and it's a trademark, and they put it there so that it looks like, but it's a covering. It's like a fake covering for your vagina. It's like the sock version for the woman.
Got it.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I got it. So it's like
know,
an underwear that they slip over that makes it look like they're naked. And it's
Google that thing up. Merkin. But I've never worn one of these things, but I'm just here tell. So I'm just telling you.
Are you sure?
No,
Are you sure? You're just saying
honestly, I'm not saying that I never will. I'm just saying I haven't yet.
Gotcha.
Who knows? I've just been buck naked on stage.
Real raw.
On an off-Broadway dusty stage with a script in my hand for like no money. It's not like I was wearing a merkin for like gajillions of dollars.
No.
I mean, it's not easy sometimes, but sometimes it's easy when you're with an easy.
Bang! And that's how we'll end today's interview. It's a Sunday sit down. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Let them know how they can get in contact with you and everything else you got coming up forward.
Yes, you can look me up, Vanessa Aspillaga on Facebook, and I have V Aspillaga on Twitter and Vanessa Aspillaga on Instagram. VANESSAASPILLAGA. That's it.
There we go. The Sunday sit down. Thank you again for coming.
Yay, so much fun.
Another example.